I wanted to share 6 not so obvious landlord tips. The first one that I wanted to start with is roommates and joint liability. So let's just use a couple for example. They come in together, they're not engaged, they're not married, and their agreed upon arrangement for rent is 50% each. Let's just say for whatever reason it doesn't work out. It's not all of a sudden a rent by the room situation. It needs to be abundantly clear that if this other person decides to leave or things don't work out, that they are still responsible for 100% of the rent. And that means that during your due diligence process while doing screening, making sure that each of them fit the income requirement just in case something hits the fan and is out of your control. So that's definitely something that I would look for in screening. The same thing is true for a group of roommates. Maybe they stop getting along or they want to move in with a significant other or whatever the situation is. Again, it doesn't just automatically become a rent by the room situation, and you need to make that abundantly clear to all parties involved from the very start of the lease. The second thing I wanted to talk about is pets. You need to know everything about this pet before they move in. I've had experiences where dogs with particularly very dirty paws have caused significant damage to floors. I've also had situations where cats had moved in and they weren't spayed or neutered, and they would spray and cause stain on the walls and hang out on windowsills and scratch up a storm. And I've also had situations where people didn't disclose to me that they've had additional pets like guinea pigs and other animals, just to put that out there. But I think it's really important for you during the screening process to really understand what pet is coming into your unit. For example, even with dogs, you really want to make sure you understand the liability of the breed. Those things, I'm a dog person, I love dogs, but it really does matter. And you need to know, are they good with people, especially if it's a multi-unit building? Are they good with other dogs, especially if there's other dogs in the neighboring units? Are they good with kids? Do they have a history of biting? These are questions that you need to ask, because ultimately at the end of the day, you are liable. And yes, of course, allowing pets and having that extra security in pet rent does add to your overall revenue, but at what cost? You really need to understand what you're getting yourself into and the liability that's at stake. The next one I wanted to share, number 3, is renter's insurance. So many times tenants will sign up for renter's insurance, they'll show the proof when the lease is signed and move in. But oftentimes what I've found is that they will cancel it, and it's up to you to really look at the policy that they share with you and write down when it expires, because let's just say they renew, you want to make sure that they are renewing their payment as well. I've had tenants in an unfortunate situation where we had really unprecedented rains and leaks in the basement, and boxes did get damaged, and they knew that their renter insurance expired, or lapsed rather, and they didn't renew it, and they knew they were out of luck there. So making sure that not only do they have it upon signing of the lease, but that they also continue to renew it and that it doesn't lapse. The next thing I wanted to share is vendors. So I had a tenant recently tell me that the landscapers came and only trimmed the hedges but didn't mow the lawn, and of course I got paid a full bill. Had they had not said anything to me, I would have never known. And it's great to have trust in anyone that you hire to come to your property, but you still need to make sure that you're checking in routinely, whether that's the tenants giving you an update on how things are going or you reach out to the vendor directly. I know these things kind of seem maybe self-explanatory to follow up to make sure the work is getting done, but sometimes you're out of state from your rental, you're not always around the corner, maybe you have an estranged relationship with your tenant and they're just not communicating that information to you. Maybe even the landscaper in this example has a couple of bad seeds in the group that was sent to the house and they don't even know that the issue is there. So just staying on top of your finger on the pulse, making sure that vendors are always being accountable is really important too. The next one, the 5th, is maintenance requests. So you really need to have a process for this, whether you have one rental or 100. What I like to do is have them fill out a form and then always notify them immediately that I've received it and the action that I'm taking to get it resolved. And then once, let's just say it's a plumber, was sent to the property, send a summary of either there's X, Y, and Z outstanding items or that the issue has been resolved, and marking the case closed. One, it's just good for any type of paper trail is always good. But two, if things ever go to court or escalate quickly, which of course you hope never happens, but at least you're prepared and that you handled it timely and with a professional and you have all of the paperwork to prove it. And then the last thing I would say is just, it's kind of a red flag, but be aware of what I like to call the DIY tenant, the one that says like, oh, I'm super handy, can I fix this, can I paint that? And they don't really look to bother you. I would just always say no. You're kind of always in this IOU relationship where, oh, well, the hinge was on the door was squeaking or whatever, and you did WD-40 and fixed it. It just creates this, well, I paid for this and didn't ask for it for you, and it just also increases their liability too. Let's just say they do something like, I've had this happen before, go to snake a drain on their own and they broke the connection and caused a huge leak. Just be mindful. In theory, it sounds nice. Oh, cool, they'll handle that. I don't have to stress, and it saves you money, but it's a very nearsighted outlook. I would always just seek to hire a professional and just to have a handyman on call and just avoid having tenants do any type of work. But that's it for now. Those were my 6 not so obvious landlord tips, but I'm curious, let me know what I missed in the comments below.